There's a white powder that costs less than $1. It restores foggy yellow headlights to factory crystal clarity in under 10 minutes. No sanding disc, no UV spray, no appointment at the body shop. Just powder, water, and a cloth. Professional detailing shops charge $150 to $300 per pair for the exact same result. Auto parts stores sell restoration kits for $30 to $60 that cloud right back up within 6 months. This powder has been the standard finishing compound in the precision optics industry for over 100 years. Telescope lenses, surgical instruments, satellite mirrors. It polishes at the molecular level and costs less than a gas station coffee. So why has nobody in the automotive world told you about it? Because the auto aftermarket industry generates over $480 billion a year in the United States alone. A $1 powder that eliminates repeat shop visits is a direct threat to that entire revenue stream. They did not stop recommending it because it failed. They stopped telling you because it worked too well. A powder that restores perfect clarity without a technician, without a warranty, and without a receipt cannot be monetized. And what cannot be monetized must be buried. This is the story of the $1 compound that Big Auto prayed you would never find. Welcome to Forbidden Camping. If these stories matter to you, subscribe and hit the bell. This is where we crack open the vaults that billion-dollar industries welded shut. Now let me take you back to 1803. A Swedish chemist named Jans Jacob Berzelius was studying a peculiar mineral pulled from a mine in Bastnäs, Sweden. The rock contained a cluster of rare earth elements no laboratory in Europe had separated. It took another 50 years before an Austrian chemist named Karl Auer von Welsbach finally isolated a pure white oxide from that cluster. He called it cerium oxide, named after the dwarf planet Ceres, which had been discovered just 2 years before the mineral was first identified. The compound was fine, almost chalky, lighter than talcum powder, and it had a property that stunned every glassworker who touched it. When mixed with water and applied to a lens surface with gentle circular pressure, it did not scratch. It polished. Not the way sandpaper works by grinding material away layer by layer. Cerium oxide bonded with the surface at the chemical level, filling microscopic pits and fractures while smoothing the outer layer simultaneously. Opticians across Vienna were the first to understand what they were holding. By the early 1900s, cerium oxide became the default polishing compound for telescope lenses across Europe and North America. The Mount Wilson Observatory in California used it to finish the 100-inch Hooker reflector telescope in 1917. That mirror helped Edwin Hubble prove the universe was expanding. Every major optical laboratory in Germany, England, and Japan adopted cerium oxide as the primary agent for finishing precision glass. Zeiss used it in their legendary camera lenses, and military contractors used it to polish periscope optics on submarines during World War II. Surgeons depended on it for the flawless clarity of operating microscopes. And in 1993, NASA used cerium oxide to finish the corrective optics installed on the Hubble Space Telescope during the first servicing mission. The compound that helped humanity see the edge of the universe costs less than $1 per application. But the automotive industry looked at your foggy headlights and said nothing. Not because cerium oxide does not work on polycarbonate, because it works flawlessly on polycarbonate, and that is exactly the problem. Before we go deeper, I need to stop and tell you something. Everything I just revealed about cerium oxide is only one chapter in a much larger book. I have spent months compiling every technique and every method that corporations across multiple industries have deliberately buried. All of it lives inside the Forbidden Camping Vault. The complete off. Grid Blueprint, a full system for cutting your dependence on the companies that bleed you dry every single month. The 72-hour blackout checklist, the step-by-step survival protocol for when the grid fails and nobody is coming to help. The Forbidden Firecraft Manual, with fire techniques the outdoor industry replaced with $60 gadgets that break on the second use. The Lost Rations Cookbook, with preservation methods that keep food edible for months without a refrigerator and without a single watt of electricity. Plus headlight restoration walkthroughs, rust removal formulas, solar heating blueprints, and over 10 additional guides in one single vault. The link is in the description, and there is a QR code on your screen right now. Go open the vault before we continue. But do not close this video. Stay with me. We are barely past the surface. Now let me ask you a question that the body shop will never answer honestly. Why do your headlights turn yellow and foggy in the first place? Before 1992, most headlights were made of glass. Glass is naturally resistant to ultraviolet radiation. A glass headlight could last the entire lifetime of the vehicle without turning cloudy. Then, the automotive industry switched almost every production line to polycarbonate plastic. The official reason was safety because polycarbonate is lighter and more shatter resistant. But the real reason was cost, because polycarbonate is dramatically cheaper to mold at factory scale. But polycarbonate has a fatal weakness that glass never had. It breaks down under ultraviolet light. The sun attacks the surface of every polycarbonate headlight lens every single day. UV radiation creates a chain reaction called photooxidation that degrades the plastic at the molecular level. Microscopic pits form. The factory UV coating flakes away within 3 to 5 years, and moisture seeps into the fractures, trapping dirt inside. The result is that familiar yellow haze that makes your headlights look 15 years older than your car. A 2021 study from the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety tested vehicles with degraded headlights against factory new lenses. The degraded headlights produced only 22% of the light output that a new lens delivered. That means 78% of your headlight power is being absorbed by a layer of oxidized plastic thinner than a sheet of paper. The same study found that vehicles with severely degraded headlights had stopping visibility distances up to 40% shorter at night. That is not cosmetic damage. That is a safety hazard that body shops are profiting from instead of solving permanently. And here's the data point the restoration kit manufacturers do not print on the box. A 1998 study published in the Journal of Non-Crystalline Solids confirmed that cerium oxide achieves what researchers called chemical mechanical polishing. The compound does not just smooth the surface like sandpaper. It chemically reacts with the silica and oxygen bonds at the surface layer, dissolving damaged material while simultaneously depositing a smooth, uniform finish. That is why NASA trusts it with the Hubble telescope. That is why Zeiss trusts it with surgical lenses. And that is why a single teaspoon of this powder makes your headlights look like they just rolled off the assembly line. If you have made it this far, you already know more about headlight restoration than 99% of car owners and most mechanics. Subscribe and share this with someone who is still paying $200 for a fix that costs less than $1. And remember, everything the industry buried is inside the complete Forbidden Camping Vault. Every guide, every method, every exposed secret. The link is in the description. Now stay with me, because this next part is the one the auto aftermarket praise you never hear. The headlight restoration industry in the United States alone is estimated at over $1.5 billion annually. That includes body shop labor, branded restoration kits, UV sealant sprays, and repeat service contracts. The average body shop charges between $150 and $300 per pair of headlights. The average branded kit costs $30 to $60 and includes sandpaper discs, a polishing compound, and a UV sealant. That sealant is the key to the entire scam, because every single kit on the market uses a temporary UV coating that degrades within 3 to 12 months. Now, the manufacturers know this, and they engineer the product to fail on a cycle. A 2018 report from Consumer Reports tested multiple over-the-counter headlight restoration kits. Every single kit showed significant rehazing within 12 months, some within 6 months. The report concluded that no kit delivered a permanent solution. Now compare that to cerium oxide. A 2006 study published in the journal Wear examined the polishing mechanism of cerium oxide on glass and polymer surfaces. The researchers confirmed that cerium oxide does not merely abrade the surface, but undergoes a tribochemical reaction, where friction triggers a chemical bond that fills microfractures at the molecular level. That is not a coating sitting on top waiting to peel off. That is a structural repair of the surface itself. And that is why a single cerium oxide application outlasts every branded kit on the shelf by years, not months. So why is this compound not sold in every auto parts store next to the motor oil? Here is the math that answers that question. A 50-gram bag of cerium oxide powder costs between $1 and $3 online. That single bag contains enough compound for 8 to 12 full headlight restorations. That means the cost per headlight pair is roughly 15 to 25 cents. 15 cents versus $150 at the body shop. 15 cents versus $40 for a kit that yellows again in 6 months. The profit margin on branded headlight restoration kits exceeds 400%. The profit margin on body shop headlight services exceeds 1,000% when you factor in labor. You cannot build a recurring revenue model on a powder that costs 15 cents and works permanently. You cannot patent cerium oxide because it has been in public domain since the 1800s. You cannot create a subscription service around a single application that never needs repeating. You cannot generate brand loyalty when the customer only buys once and never returns. The entire headlight restoration economy depends on one condition. The customer must not know this powder exists. That is not conspiracy theory, that is supply chain economics. When your fix is permanent and costs nothing, you're not a customer anymore, you are a threat. The same pattern repeats in every industry we have exposed on this channel. The fertilizer companies buried wood ash because you cannot patent fireplace residue. The plumbing industry buried the $1 pipe fix because a permanent seal kills the service call. The auto glass industry buried cerium oxide scratch repair because a flawless windshield means zero replacement revenue. And the headlight restoration industry buried this powder for the exact same reason, not because it does not work, but because it works so well that it destroys the entire business model. Here's exactly what to do. Order cerium oxide powder online. A 50-gram bag is all you need, and it costs between $1 and $3. You also need a small spray bottle filled with clean water, a microfiber cloth, or a foam polishing pad, and masking tape. Step 1. Wash the headlight thoroughly with soap and water to remove surface dirt and grime. Step 2. Dry the lens completely and apply masking tape around the edges to protect the paint. Step 3. Mix 1 tablespoon of cerium oxide powder with 2 tablespoons of water in a small container to create a thin paste. Step 4. Apply the paste to the headlight lens using the microfiber cloth or foam pad. Step 5. Rub the paste into the lens using firm circular motions for 3 to 5 minutes per headlight. You will see the paste turn from white to yellowish brown as it lifts the oxidation layer off the polycarbonate. Step 6. Wipe the residue off with a clean damp cloth and inspect the lens. If any haze remains, apply a second coat and repeat the circular motions for another 2 to 3 minutes. Step 7. Once the lens is crystal clear, rinse with water and dry with a clean microfiber towel. For long-term UV protection after polishing, apply a thin coat of automotive clear coat spray or a dedicated UV sealant. This step is optional because cerium oxide itself creates a smoother, more UV-resistant surface than the original factory coating. But if your car sits in direct sunlight 12 months a year, the clear coat adds an extra layer of defense. Total time invested is under 15 minutes for both headlights. Total cost is under $1 if you already have a cloth and a spray bottle. Total result is factory clarity that a body shop would charge you $300 to deliver. A mechanic in Ohio posted a before and after comparison that went viral in an online restoration forum. The left headlight was untreated, yellow, cloudy, almost opaque, and the right headlight had been polished with cerium oxide for 4 minutes. The difference looked like a 20-year time gap on the same vehicle. Commenters who tried it reported identical results, and several noted their headlights stayed clear for over 2 years with zero retreatment. That is the power of a compound the auto industry did not want in your hands. Now let me tell you what this really means. Cerium oxide is not just about headlights. It is a symbol of a much larger pattern. Every time an industry discovers that a cheap, permanent fix exists for a problem they profit from, they bury it. They do not ban it because a ban draws attention. They simply never mention it. They fill the shelf space with branded temporary solutions and train their technicians to recommend the expensive option. And they count on you, never searching for the truth. Your grandparents did not have access to $50 restoration kits because they did not need them. Glass headlights lasted a lifetime. The switch to polycarbonate created a problem that did not need to exist. And an industry rose to sell you the cure for a disease they manufactured. That cycle ends when you know what cerium oxide does and share it with every car owner you know. This knowledge did not disappear. It was waiting in mining journals and optical laboratories for over 100 years, waiting for someone to pull it out of the vault and put it in your hands. If this video opened your eyes, subscribe and share it. Every like pushes this past the algorithm that buries it. Every share puts one more driver back in control of their own vehicle. The next vault opens soon, and what the industry hid this time is even worse.